Facebook.
All right, you all set?
Yep.
Here we go. All right.
You can do it.
Okay. Hello and welcome to another edition of Get Real with Real Estate here on K-Wayne 106. I'm Jack Caldwell, and joining me is Jameson Melby from RE/MAX Results. Jameson, spring has sprung. Feels good, doesn't it?
Oh my gosh, beautiful weather, is it not?
Oh my God, better late than never, that's for sure. Well, let's get right to it here on the show because obviously we're into the time of year that's certainly very busy for many people in many different ways, and I'm sure real estate agents certainly no different. Big question leading us right off today, Jameson, is how do I know how much home that I can afford? That's a big one.
Yeah, it is, definitely. We talk about this quite a bit. The best thing you can do as a home buyer is to get pre-approved before we even start looking at houses. What ends up happening is you'll be looking at a certain price range online, and then you find out what your actual approval is, and more importantly, what your monthly payment is. So that's the biggest thing that we have to look at. So each property has different property taxes. You want to look at what your homeowner's insurance will be, and then overall the sale price, and make sure that you're comfortable with that payment. So let's say a bank approves you to 180, but yet that is $200 more than what you're comfortable with for a monthly payment. So then we'd be looking around maybe like 160 to keep you in that comfortable range. So get pre-approved for a home loan. You can talk to the realtors, that's fine, but you want to get pre-approved so you know exactly how much I can afford, and you're making smart decisions along the way.
All right, very good. This is a good topic here because my wife and myself, we have bought 4 homes thus far.
Yeah.
How many homes should I see before making an offer? I know from our perspective, boy, does it vary.
Yeah, well, it does. I mean, I'd say look at as many as you need to so that you find the right house for you. Now, I have somebody getting an offer accepted this week. They looked at one house. They knew that was the house for them. They did not need to look at any other houses. And I would say the average is probably 5 or 6 houses. The problem is in this market, houses are selling so fast that you can't, take your time and go look at 10, 15, 20 houses because inevitably the houses will sell. So you have to be very decisive in this market as a buyer, unfortunately. But it's just that's how the market is. Give it another couple of years, buyers can take all the time in the world, but right now they have to act fast.
So can I buy a home and sell my current one, Jameson, at the same time?
Right. So if somebody has plenty of equity, they have really good income, you can buy a second house and have yours for sale and move into that house and then sell yours later. But 90% of the time, what we do is we have a simultaneous closing. So we'll have your house for sale. We get an offer on that. You make an offer on another house subject to your house closing, and then ideally we close the same day. So let's say we're closing, May 30th or something like that. You would have a 10 a.m. closing on the house you're selling, and then you would have an 11 a.m. closing on the house you're buying. So that's the best way we can do it, where you're not homeless and you're not making 2 home payments. Both problems to have, different ends of the spectrum there.
And it's the old saying, timing is everything. So what do you think the seller will accept as a fair price? How does that work?
Well, like I said, it really depends on the market we're in. During the recession, sellers understood and they expected low-ball offers, is what we refer to them as, very low offers. In this market now, sellers are expecting full price. If they're not getting full price, they're not going to budge off that list price very much because they know that if they keep the home on the market another few days, another week, chances are somebody is going to come give them full price. So that's basically what's happening. Now, that being said, you do still have to be diligent about the property you're writing an offer on because we do see some homes entering the market that are overpriced because people are trying to take advantage of the seller's market. And at the end of the day, people can see what other houses are for sale for online. So if they find a house with more bedrooms, more square feet, in better condition for less price, it's not it's not unreasonable that they're going to go for the other house. So you still want to price your house well because buyers are going to understand whether it's priced too high or not.
All right, to wind up part 1 here, Jameson, how do I know if the property is a good deal?
So it's the same thing. We can look at sold properties and see what similar homes have sold for. You can see what their, when it's active, you can see the other list prices. So again, the houses that sell really fast are the ones that are appropriately priced for the market. So if let's say a Rambler comes on and it's undervalued, you're going to have hordes of people going to that house making multiple offers, and they're going to sell for over list price. So even if somebody underprices a house, the market dictates, and it'll still end up selling right around where it should.
All right, fantastic stuff, Jameson. Part 2 coming up, okay?
Sounds good.
All right, this is Get Real with Real Estate here on Saturday morning on KWayne 106, Action Jack, along with Jameson Melby from RE/MAX Results. Coming back with Part 2 in just a moment. All righty. Part 2, we can crank it up.
Part 2 coming up, guys.
All right, here we go. All righty. We're back with Part 2 on this Saturday of Get Real with Real Estate here on KWayne 106. I'm Jack Lovell, joined by Jameson Melby, picking up basically right where we left off, Jameson. Now,
yes.
We're talking about timing and how things work in the real estate business when it comes to homes. So when you're closing on a home, how long does it typically take to close on a home?
It depends on the loan program. So people that are doing, so for instance, cash. I mean, cash, you can close in 2-3 weeks after the offer is accepted, but most people aren't paying cash, they're financing. So if you're doing like a 20% down payment conventional loan, if you're doing an FHA, those can close in 30 days. Not a problem at all. Now, the issue might be, if the house is occupied, you're buying, can they be out in 30 days would be the bigger question, depending on what their situation is. But typically, we see 45 days for closing. That is for like the USDA loan, the DVA, those government loans take a little bit longer. There's more overlays with the financing. So we just don't want to pressure the lender to get those done in 30 days. Some of the really top lenders, they can get them done fast, but then it's a pressure situation. And like I said, we need to give the seller time to find something, get an offer accepted, and move. So 30 to 45 days is the time range. 45 is more common. Occasionally we'll see a 60-day close, but that's really a long time, 2 months. I mean, somebody could lose a job in that time. Something could happen that's out of our control. So we try to keep the closings as soon as possible, but yet give the lender and the title people enough time to close.
All right, absolutely. Now, Should I get a home inspection? I think I know the answer to this one.
Yeah, the short answer is absolutely. There are times where, let's say it's a newer construction house, the house has just recently been remodeled, where sometimes people will opt out of the inspection, but I always tell people that for $350 to get that home inspected, they could find something that's a $10,000 or $20,000 fix that you may not have caught, the realtor might not have caught, and the seller may not even be aware of that pre-existing condition until that happens. And then you can also have a radon test, which those are typically $150 to check if that basement is holding radon. And you can Google that, the effects of radon, but basically it's a pretty nasty gas that you do not want to be breathing in if you're spending a lot of time in that basement. So those home inspections and radon tests are very, very important in the home buying process.
See, now that you mention that, I'm going to go to my basement. I'm going to start sniffing it out. It's got it in my head now. See, there it is.
Yeah.
So, but when can I back out if I change my mind on a deal?
Well, if you're doing an inspection, we'll have the inspection time period in there, usually that's 7 to 10 days. That really is your last chance to back out without any damage to you. So when you make an offer, you have to put down what we call earnest money. That is good faith money, holding that house for you. Usually it's $1,000 or 1% of the sale price. So let's say you're buying a house for $300,000, you really should be putting down $3,000 earnest money. Now, if you back out, let's say we're 2 weeks from closing, you just decide, hey, I don't want this house anymore, there's something else I want, that earnest money is definitely going to be up for grabs. Now, in the state of Minnesota, it cannot be released until buyers and sellers both sign off on a cancellation. If one party doesn't sign, then it gets escalated, it gets tricky, the house can't sell to somebody else until that earnest money is released. So it's never a good situation, and I always try to counsel people, up front and make sure that this is definitely the house they want. They are definitely not going to back out, because the last thing I want is to be dealing with this 2 weeks from closing where we have a seller who's fully packed up, they're ready to move, and they find out that the buyers are walking. So of course, you're going to have some very upset parties, and you might be looking at litigation.
Right, could be a messy situation.
Definitely.
So how much money should I have on hand to buy a house? What's a good starting point?
Well, if somebody can put down 20% on a house, that is definitely best. That will save them on the mortgage insurance. Now, in reality, not many people have that 20%. So then we look at FHA has a 3.5% down program. Conventional has a 5% program. And these programs are more prevalent in the bigger communities, Hastings and North. Now, Ellsworth, Prescott, Red Wing, Cannon Falls, Lake City, Goodhue, we all have access to the USDA zero down loan. The only other zero down loan is for veterans, and if you're not a veteran, USDA is really good. But there are population caps to that, so like I said, if you get Hastings and North, that is not available for you. But Red Wing and the communities around here it is. So if you're doing a zero down loan, then you would only need about $2,000 really to buy the house. You'd have your $1,000 earnest money, $500 for an appraisal, $350 for home inspection, $150 for radon test, and that's really all the money you need out of pocket. So again, more money is better. You'll avoid that mortgage insurance, but hey, we have plenty of options to get you in a house, very low cost.
Now, Jameson, I have a teenage daughter, and she was always asking, well, when do I get the keys, Dad, to the car? But let's talk about when do you get keys to your new home?
Yeah, very common question, actually. But so the day of closing, so let's say we make an offer today, we're closing in a month and a half. Right when closing is done, you take possession of that house, you get the keys at the title company, it's yours, you get to move in. So that's my favorite day, is when we get to shake hands, give high fives and hugs, and pass out those keys, and somebody gets their new house. It's a good time. So.
Fantastic stuff, Jameson, as always. Folks want to get in touch with you, what do they need to do?
Yeah, my cell phone number is 651-764-8933. You can find me on the web at jamesonmelby.com. And if you're watching this on Facebook, or you're on Facebook, you can find me at Remax Results, Jameson Melby Real Estate.
Fantastic, Jameson. Spring is here, folks. Get out and enjoy. Got to take a look at some houses. Why not?
Yeah, definitely.
We'll see you again next week, Jameson.
Sounds good. See you, Jack.
All right, for Jameson Melby with Remax Results, Action Jack here. It's Get Real with Real Estate here on K-Wing 106. Back again next week.